everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Tem Talk, a podcast dedicated to the creature collection MMO Temtem. Right off the bat, I want to welcome back once again Kennedy. Kennedy, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Had a giant work call on Saturday, but I got to play Temtem all through it because I'm working from home, and I finished my free Tim reward. Those are snaps if they're not coming through my mic.
I'm jealous of you being able to play Temtem during the work calls. That's awesome. Exciting news for everyone. We've been talking, and we think it's working out well. So you're gonna be joining the show as an official co-host now. You've done enough reputation grinding to level up to that level, so people can expect to keep having you back on. Because I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I demand payment in the form of 15 Pansuns per hour.
That's steep. Is that per hour of episode recording or per like a 40-hour work week throughout the week as you research content?
I don't know. I'll have to check the Temtem marketplace.
Talk to your agent or your manager about that. Let's jump right into the news this week. One thing you've been speculating and hoping for is the spring patch. Spoiler alert, we don't have it yet, do we?
Yeah, it is currently Saturday when we're recording this, and it's just like, it's still not here. It's still not here, which is understandable with everything that's been going on in the world this week.
Well, that's exactly, because I did some research on Reddit and Twitter to try to see what they're saying. XYahoo is the moderator on their subreddit and one of their game directors, and I think even like his official Reddit profile says something about being like a co-founder of the company even. Someone made a post and said, when is the spring patch going to come? And he actually replied and said, we're working on it, ! Moving the whole team from from home has impacted a bit of our development times, but we're still planning to release this patch during spring. So I think you're right that with everything going on with coronavirus and going remote, that they're a little bit behind schedule. But they did say it's still coming patch during spring. So, I mean, you were very hopeful before. What's your latest take on when you think it might be coming?
If their history serves them correct, I'm going to pull up my calendar right here.
Yeah, sure.
Most of their patches have dropped on either as far as adding features in the game, have dropped either on Tuesday or Thursday. Next week, I'd put it on either the 31st of March.
You think next week? Really? I think it's gonna be later in April. I do. I think we're lucky to get it in April. Honestly, I hope you're right. I hope to be wrong, and I hope you're right.
One thing that I've noticed this week, though, is just all week they've just been randomly restarting the server for unspecified testing. They're just we're taking down the servers for tests. And it's I know the game's in early access and they're still developing so much stuff for it. But in my mind, the reason you take down a server for testing is, for uploading a new build of the game and seeing if, things still function.
I think you see what you want to see with any sign. I think you'll take any sign or response as this means the patch is coming. I think you're optimistic. I like it. It's good. It's good. It's endearing. The community manager also made a very small comment. You can't really read into it, but there was we'll get into it in a second. There's some new animations released, and one of the comments was someone said, with all the animations and renaming, I hope that the spring patch is coming soon, and the community manager just replied, soon, trademark. So I don't know. Soon as in keep waiting, or soon as actual soon? Who knows?
Yeah, soon, trademark. And I feel like that's about the most we can hope for.
We should make a bet on when we think it's going to come out. Do you want to take the first half of April, and I'll take the second half of April? So if it's before April 15th, you win. By the April 14th is a Tuesday, and if it's after that, I win. Or how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with that. What are we betting?
That's a good question. How about some Pansuns? You want to put some Pansuns down on
Let's put some Pansun on it. I've got 1,000. I've got 3,000 to spare. I got 3,000 to spare.
Ooh, you're broke. Didn't you just do the? You just said you finished your free Temtem Society, right? What did you spend all the money on?
I've got 43,000 Pansun, but I'm definitely about to buy a egg in game. Probably looking at either a Nidrasol or there's a specific Tim I had on my list, but I'll have to go back and look at my team.
Are you gonna get one in an egg to get that tamer name, or are you okay with it being hatched?
I want to nickname it. I nickname my Tims egg. All wild, crazy stuff.
No, I agree. You got to get the egg. Don't buy them hatched.
My current Voloran is named Mr. Mittens, so when it hyperkinetic strikes people and kills somebody, that's a blow to the soul when you get killed by Mr. Mittens.
That is. All right, so we just do 10,000 Pansons, keep it cheap for you. So we
Okay.
don't. I think
Keep it cheap for you. Let's like 3 times the cost of the ante. All right. I guess I'll raise.
10,000. You can't. Is that too much?
No. We can do
Okay.
10,000. 10,000 on the first half of April.
I
So
think-
what are you going to spend my hard-earned pants on?
Yeah, well, I hope to pay you, because if I lose, see, this is a win-win for me. It either comes soon, I get to play the game and I have to give you some Pansons, or it comes late, but at least I get some Pansons from you. So I can't lose this. This is only bad for you. The patch could be late, and you could owe me Pansons. It'd be terrible.
Remember when I said I wanted to get paid 15 Pansons per hour? I'm going to need an increase.
Yeah,
in
you're gonna. It's too late to negotiate now. No. We'll see. Hopefully, it's coming along soon. Something else I saw as just again the star for news. I was basically let's call it. We should rename the news segment Andrew Stocks Crema Developers Online and finds out what they're posting. But in another thread, people were talking about. Someone asked, "What's the right way to pronounce Nidrizzle, the Temtem you were just talking about?" And the community manager said, "There is not an official pronunciation as such. There are different variations even amongst us devs. So just follow your heart." So that brings me back to our Pig Epic discussion and debate that there's probably no official right answer. Yeah, it's called whatever you want to. Pig Epic. They're not making official names on how to pronounce these. So I thought that was interesting, right?
Yeah, when I see Nidrizzle's name, it makes me think of the tree from Norse mythology, Yggdrasil or Yggdrasil.
Oh yeah, that's good inspiration.
And like, there's some serpent at the bottom of it that's like always biting it and poisoning it. So I was just like, maybe question mark.
Some of the Wikipedia say from where the name comes. I think where is it? It says it somewhere. I'm looking down in the trivia. It says Nidrizzle's name comes from the combination of the words Nidhogg, a Nordic mythic serpent. Oh, you're right on with it being Nordic.
Oh,
and here you go. And plus Yggdrasil, Nordic tree that connects the 9 worlds. You're 100% right. Did you know that? You didn't know that? You just guessed that?
I just saw the inspiration and like the way the name was laid out.
You're 100% right. It's the tree and the snake from
I haven't put a lot of research into Nidrizzle yet, or question mark snake, poison snake.
No, I like Nidrizzle. Well, we'll come back to it and talk about what we've been doing this week. It's funny you mentioned Nidrizzle, but I'll get to that. Another funny thing I thought I saw on Reddit is we've talked about, I think we've mentioned on the show, the meme how everyone asks when do they get their crystal skates back, right?
Yeah, I think even just mentioning this meme, another Teru has died. So
yeah. So that was someone posted. What was the Reddit user posted by Fin-Arts on Reddit? Drew a picture of it's a Tataru, right?
Yeah,
but
I say Teru, but Tataru
I can go with my heart.
Grass squirrel.
The community manager told me I can go with my heart and never be wrong.
Go with it.
But they posted a funny photo of one all bloody standing on a tamer that says, every time you ask about the skates, a tamer dies. So the community manager replied to that as well and said, my, how the tables have turned. So they're having some fun with the joke and they're a little tongue-in-cheek and able to make fun of themselves. So I like that.
One thing that I appreciate about the dev team and Crema in general is that they just go through and they look at all the fan art and the memes and they'll reply and share them. And even with this Teru joke, as far as like when everybody was upset about the crystal skates being removed from the game and Crema coming and just saying to the community, every time you ask about the crystal skates, a Teru dies. I think that was just a fun moment in Temtem's history. And I don't think people give games in general enough credit when they're in early access, or enough leeway when they're in early access to be an early access game, as far as like the patience it takes to wait on some of these patches, the patience it takes to work with the features and stuff. And I think that that's one thing, like going through, looking at these memes and just listening to the community manager talk about some of them helps me put my perspective back in place of like, all right, we're in early access, they're trying, they're laughing, they're having fun. Just breathe a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Even I try to think of myself as pretty rational and mindful of that and don't get caught up in it. But even I find myself, with enough lack of time without an update like the spring update to start to forget it. And it's important to remember that it is an early access, and it's fun to see them having fun with it and the joke evolving and it turning around from the Temtem dying to the Tamers dying now every time you ask. So yeah, no, it's
I think at some point the next evolution of this meme is just like, it's about the crystal skates, and there's like a crystal altar in game that there's going to be like a herd of Teteru like sacrificing Tamers on the crystal altar.
That's funny. You're probably right. They probably will put a joke about this into the game now that it's happened. I mean, that's the fun thing about being in early access, being engaged in the community, is that they'll adjust and pivot their development, include feedback and stuff that this joke would probably never got into the game, and now it might. I mean, that's like, have you heard about and read like the truck and the Mew underneath it being the nod to Pokemon? Have you heard about this?
Oh no, I have not.
So on the first island, there's a truck, and there's an NPC by it that if you talk to it, it says, "Oh, I think something's under that truck," or you can catch some super rare mythical Temtem under the truck. And you can go click on the truck from any side, and you get this like dialogue text of like trying to look around and find something. And then later on another island, another NPC trainer tells you like, "Oh, back on the first island, like under the truck, there's something." And it's all a nod to the first Pokemon game. There was some truck that was a big rumor that you could catch Mew somehow, and it was just like this rumor that was never true. But they put that in the game as a nod to this old joke and rumor from the original Pokemon game.
Yeah, that's cool. I also appreciate all of like the other little not insight, but all of the Easter egg jokes. Tim right now, like the kill trainers and everything else in there.
Yeah, for sure. So what else? Some other news we did have, that's just a little behind the scenes developments. We did see 2 new animations being previewed, or not new animations, but the new animations for them, right? So the first one was Slime and Toxic. I don't know. What did you think of this one? I don't think it wasn't quite as cool as the Okidashi, but it's still cool to see this stuff.
I remember Awful Song.
Right, which is the other new one.
Okay. And yeah. Toxic Slime. Okay, didn't see the Toxic Slime one. I just looked at it right now. Yeah. I really, really like that Toxic Slime animation. I think that's one of the other things that I really appreciate about this game more so than other games in this genre that I played, is that they really take the time to make sure these animations look cool. There are some regular moves that are just like hold moves and stuff that feel like Z moves from Pokemon, Z moves that they have.
Yeah. Especially the melee moves in the game that are hold moves just look incredible. What's the one that's like a 3 or 4 turn hold move?
I think my favorite
Inner Spirit. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, it's
Inner
amazing.
Spirit is really cool. Crystal Spikes is super cool. Tsunami, and then honorable mention to Fire Tornado.
Tsunami is amazing. The first time I use it, I'm like, how do I not knock out every Temtem instantly with how powerful this is? Like, how does a Temtem ever survive this? It looks so cool. No, the animations are great. It's a very fun game to watch and play in, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that we thought we'd start doing as part of the show, as we've been planning and discussing and what we can keep talking about, is we decided we wanted to do a Temtem of the Week, where we just kind of do a deep dive on a specific Temtem and talk about them, talk about their lore, their stats, what you can use with them competitively, how they might be useful in the game, and any trivia or lore about them as well. So we figured for this first week, well, why don't you tell people the one we picked?
Yeah, we picked Mix, and I will add on and say more about Mix. I just want to point out real quick, Andrew, you're not Sly. I saw you skip over the Psypark of the week.
Oh, I missed it. No, let's go back. You're right. Let's talk about it.
You missed it, and so did everybody else in the community, because it was the most garbage Psypark week there was.
That's a very good analogy for this week's Psypark. It's forgettable, isn't it? Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah. Do you want to go over it, or do you?
No, let's 100%. I do. Yeah. No, let's talk about it. I mean, since you reminded me, go tell people what it was first of all. Let's start there.
So Psypark is currently the farming area in game where you can get either Temtem with great stats or increased Luma rates, and every week it changes a little bit as far as like what Temtem are available. This week's Psypark configuration has Pajeros and Magmas in it. There's no increased Luma chance on them, but each of them have increased minimum SV values, which means you can catch some pretty good ones to make the breeding process a little bit easier for you. The price for entry this week is 2,200 Pansun, and you get 30 cards. When I said this was a very garbage week for SciPark, last week I felt like SciPark's configuration with the increased Luma on Mushis and the increased Luma on Ouroboros made it so you really felt pressured of you had to go and farm, in SciPark, because it was just like such an amazing week. And I feel like Krima kind of heard us saying that, of just like, oh, what? You don't want to feel pressured? Well, we'll give you the most garbage SciPark week ever, so no one will come.
You can feel like you can do whatever you want with your time because you're not going to spend it in SciPark. Yeah, I don't like being a negative person, generally speaking, but I do agree that I haven't bothered going to SciPark once this week. Usually I'll go in and I'll pay the fee once, and I'll go through one set of cards, whatever it is, just for the fun of it. But even me, I was like, yeah, I don't need either of these Temtems with increased stats. I mean, Magmas, you can capture so many of them outside the Arc Volcano, and a lot of people like that spot for farming Pansun. So it's very easy to have. People have a lot of good statted one of those already, and same with Pharaoh. I don't think it's not super rare. A lot of people aren't trying to breed them.
Exactly, and that's the thing with Magmas. As far as it appearing in the SciPark, there's a grass patch where the Magmas family has 100% spawn rate. So you're always going to run into one.
It's easy
people
to get
farm
them.
it, for Pansun. So the best Magmas that people catch out there, most people keep them. I have about 24 Magmas and Mastions with like different single value perfect SVs, and a couple with like double perfect value SVs that I'm just willing to sell to anybody who needs, that Temtem.
Right. So you don't need more.
Yeah. The only, the kind of benefit I see is Pigapek and Voloran are such like really, really great Temtem for the competitive scene that pretty much everybody has to pick up one for their team. And they're both Wind-type Temtem. So going and catching male Paherus with really good SVs can make the breeding process of getting your perfect Sephiroth or your perfect Pigapek a little bit easier.
Are you finding a silver lining in SciPark? You're saying there is some value. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's good. Good for you.
Yeah. What's the max value on SVs right now? 350.
Yeah.
If you have Temtem with a perfect stat on everyone. So Paheru's coming with 203 minimum SVs, means that you're always going to be in the upper 66%. Or no, wait, that's not math. The upper 50%, I guess, are the upper 55% of like good Temtem that you get. Wait, the upper 45%. There we go. That's how math works.
We're doing this math live. I can't. I'll trust your math on it. I have no idea, but yeah, that sounds. I mean, if you have 30 cards, you should get out of those 30 captures, you should get a couple that have one perfect or more SVs, right? With that.
Yeah. And it might make your breeding process easier, but that's only for the people like breeding Volorens and breeding Pigapeks to specifically sell. And I guess that kind of goes into Wimplump too, because Wimplump's finding a place in the current meta scene.
Well, I did some math in advance, so you don't have to hear me live. But I was just talking about the price of these side cards. If you're looking at it, so you get 30 of them for 2,200. So it's basically 73 or 70 Pansungs each, which if you round up to 75, it's basically these side cards for SciPark are 5 times more expensive than a normal Tem card. So the question is even if you do want these, is it worth paying that much for the Tem cards to have the better chance, or just using the regular ones? I mean, I'm not sure. I will say, I think we're being pretty kind to, and we're not the type to get too upset over something like this. But man, Reddit was very unhappy and disappointed this week. If you read the thread about these, so you get the sense from at least that part of the community that they were very disappointed. My thing is, someone did point out in that, everyone on Reddit's mad about this, but the Reddit is only 45,000 followers, where the game sold over 500,000 copies. So it's a percent of the community represented there, but it's still probably a fair representation of at least a good amount of the player base. With that said, if you go to SciPark, you'll see people there, right? So some people are using it. It's not completely empty.
Yeah. For the weekly reset, the free Tem Society reset this week is awesome.
Yeah,
The
right.
300 releases giving you 3 telomere hacks. Telomere hacks are extremely hard to get, and trading them is extremely difficult because they're untradeable. So what you have to do is you have to give your Temtem to somebody that you trust and let them use the hack on it, and then they trade you the Temtem back, and it requires, you know, trading collateral back and forth, and it's a big process. So anyways, just giving out 3 HP telomere hacks is a huge thing. Like, that's essentially either 120,000 Pansun to a person who's selling all 3 of those, or it's a huge headache for the people going out and doing, you know, free Tim who are interested in telomere hacks that they don't have to worry about.
Are they worth that much each? That's incredible.
I've been seeing people sell the telomere HP hacks for 40,000 Pansun
Wow.
because there's such a limited amount of them in the game.
The price was going to go down this week, but it's still a lot of money. I mean, that's an incredible reward. Is 100,000 Pansuns at least, plus the 300 releases. So I missed my free Temtem releases last week. I'm not going to miss it this week. This is too juicy to pass up.
Yeah, my girlfriend who's been she's been playing Temtem like super casually, like maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. When I told her like how valuable the telomere hacks were and like how you can't get them in game currently other than this, she was like, all right, I'm gonna get on. And she made a farming team, and she's been farming for like all week. I think she's at like 200 or so releases.
Real quick, what 2 Temtem does she use to farm for captures? We'll go into this deeper later, but I'm just curious.
I tried to set her up with the C-Note method of a Nidrisil and a Saku.
Okay.
But she decided to instead go farm with her Oshira, and she was farming Banapes and Rabiers because she's going to breed for a Capire or Capire. Yeah. Capire. There we go. We're going with Capire.
It's nice when you can get your free Temtem reward while working towards like a breeding project. It makes it it doesn't feel quite as grindy, or it feels a little more purposeful that way. So that's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the last thing I'll say about the Psypark this week is generally speaking, most players like Psypark just for the Luma hunting, or at least most Reddit users, I'll say. I'm not going to say most users, who knows, but the people on Reddit at least, they really like Psypark for the Luma hunting. So they don't get very excited when they see these non-Luma weeks. But even I'll say that the other weeks where they didn't have Lumas and they had increased SVs, they were still more useful than this week. Because the first one was Oshiara and Barnchi, which are 2 rare 5% Temtem that are hard to get normally. So it was really cool to see those. So I thought that was a perfectly valuable week, compared to this one. And then the one with Kalamazoo I thought was also useful.
Kalamazoo and Raber, which are just like 2 amazing Temtem species for battling in general.
But specifically because Rabier is very male gender ratio, it's like, I don't know, like 70, I don't know what's the exact ratio, but it's predominantly, you mainly catch males. So being able to go and find a spot to just get Rabiers that have higher stats, people could wait until they had a wild female and use their Psy card on that. So it was really beneficial and made it a lot easier to breed them for that week. And the Kalamazoo, it had an increased chance of having the egg move, and like we talked about, you couldn't get clinch any other way except for to the Psypark, so there was value there. So I think every week has had value, whether it's Luma or because of the Temtem. Or this week, I don't see anything that exciting about these 2. There's nothing like that gives it extra, that makes it interesting that these are the 2 that they picked. So we'll see for future ones.
Yeah, like I said, the Paheru almost makes it kind of not the worst garbage, but it only almost does it. It's a week for the breeders.
Yeah, I'm glad you find something in it at least to appreciate. So that's good. Well, all right. Do you anything else on that, or can we go back to mix now?
Yeah. Let's jump into the Temtem of the week.
Yeah.
So our Temtem of this week is Mix. It is the first Temtem that I bred, and we are just going to go through, kind of talk about the lore of Mix, talk about the design of Mix, talk about some of the uses of Mix, and other things. So Mix is a crystal and mental Temtem. It is the evolution of a Temtem called Oclura, which is just a crystal type Temtem. And the Tempedia entry for Mix is, or rather its appearance and personality, is It is the oldest written records in Tumka indicate religious awe of Mix, considered to be embodiments of dark spirits. Some were considered to be celestial emissaries of high above, and some messengers of evil down below. But all were feared, with good reason.
If I may, I like the ominous and I like just the character of Mix that matches the appearance of it. If Mix is such a cool looking mystical Temtem kind of awe-inspiring, it levitates and floats, and it's got these narrow slitted eyes that kind of glow in the dark. So it's a very, most of the Temtem are very cute and cuddly and friendly, where you kind of get, like, for lack of a better, it's kind of an evil looking Temtem, right? Which I think makes it cool. I'm like, by evil, I mean it's badass and cool looking for that reason. So I love that this description talks about it being feared for good reason and being an evil messenger, and I think it makes it a very cool Temtem, and makes it one of my favorites as well for that reason, for having that character.
Like Mix's design, to me, it looks like a evil demon sorcerer ninja crystal shadow thing, and I love it.
That's
but
cool.
The other thing where Mix like kind of gets like a little ominous like vibe from, on the other hand, it's super duper cute because its eyes, which are just like these two blue lights inside of like, the dark like shadow of its form. Its eyes are kind of like, you imagine like an emoji robot or something that just has kind of like pixel expressions. Its eyes emote in ways that are so incredibly cute when it looks happy, that it's like, I love Mix. It's ominous, but it's also dark and cute.
Yeah, it's still got that cute it's able to walk that line, which I think is a recognition of the designers, right? Their style.
Yeah.
Does it when you how you, like, if you hit the F button on any Temtem, it will like make a little sing or a sound? Is that what's that? I don't know, I've never seen it for Mix. Is that kind of what you're talking about, is when you do that?
Yeah, I just remember it emotes and looks happy. I don't remember how I make it do that.
Yes.
I'm opening Temtem in the background as we talk, and I'll look at my Mix later.
It's very creepy sounding. The sound file for it when it like comes onto the field.
That's the other thing. When you are playing any games and your opponent sees a Mix in your lineup, they are right to be afraid. Mix's two traits are incredibly powerful. I love them. Both of them are good, but just for the setup Mix has, only one is great.
Why don't you break them down? Let people know what they both are, or I can if you're not.
Well, no, the first trait is called Puppet Master, and what it is when Mix is at 40% HP or under 40% HP, it redirects all moves that are targeted at it to its ally. So when you put a Mix on a field, you can make your Mix like a super fragile glass cannon. If it goes under 40% HP, you don't ever have to worry about it being targeted and hit by an individual move. It has to be cleared off of the field by either killing the other Temtem first or using a move that hits both Temtem without targeting the Mix. Otherwise, Puppet Master allows Mix to get on the field, partner up with a really tanky Temtem, and just start throwing out huge special attacks without being able to be targeted or have anything done about it. Its second trait is called Rejuvenate, which whenever it attacks with a physical move, it restores 15% of its maximum HP. The reason why Rejuvenate isn't as good as Puppet Master, I'll explain after we go through the stats of Mix.
Yeah, take them through it.
The stats of Mix, it's like I said, it's really, really fragile in general, and it doesn't have great physical attack. But getting into Mix's special attack, it has a base special attack of 94. Generally, whenever Tims touch 80 to 100 of a base stat, it is incredibly high, and they're going to probably be within the top 5 or 10 Temtems that have, like that amount of stats. So a base attack of 94 is huge. It's like one of the highest special attacks in the game. And then a base special defense of 80, which is still quite a bit. So a lot of ways that people run Mix is they give it a lot of special attack TVs to increase that special attack even higher. They throw it onto the field with just a little bit of speed, and the Mix just starts crystal spiking. It's a move it has access to that it can use on turn 1 with 3 priority, and it just deals so much damage. And then if the Mix just takes 1 or 2 hits, normally because it's so fragile, that will trigger its Puppet Master, and then it just stays out forever, and it just is able to Crystal Spike. The reason why Rejuvenate is less desirable than Puppet Master is because its base HP is only 51, which isn't great. It's not horrifically awful, but it's definitely not good. So 15%, recovering 15% of its maximum HP each turn with a physical move is okay, because its physical attack also isn't that great. So it's not going to be dealing a lot of damage, but it's going to be able to like heal itself consistently with the moves. But the mental crystal typing that Mix has, we'll get into its weaknesses next. It takes double damage from fire, which there are a lot of really good fire Temtem right now. Double damage from earth, which there aren't a lot of. Half damage from mental, double damage from digital, and double damage from crystal, and half damage from toxic. Oh, and half damage from neutral. The most prevalent Temtems inside of that lots of people are using right now are fire and crystal typing. So taking that double damage from crystal and fire means that Mix isn't going to be a great tank or a great wall in order to withstand these moves, because its defense is so low, and most fire moves are physical attacks. Recovering half HP, or recovering 15% when it doesn't have like a huge pool and it's taking double damage, just makes Mix have a harder time being a wall, which is why most people tend to run it as a special attacker.
Well, that's the problem with Rejuvenation's it's odd because it has a high special attack. Its best move is like Crystal Spike, like you mentioned. A decent like mental move could in theory be energy manipulation, but again, it's a special technique. So to have it only heal with physical, because Rejuvenation's only physical attacks, right?
Yeah, it only heals off of physical attacks.
So it doesn't heal off its good attacks, basically. I mean, when you look at its physical attacks that it could run, I mean, you have Crystal Bite, which does a lot of damage, but is a hold move, right? So you can't use it every turn. And there's like Head Ram, but that's a normal move, so it's not going to get a same special. It's not going to get the 50% increase because it's not a mental or a crystal move. So it's kind of a mismatch. I mean, it's probably intentional. If Rejuvenate was special attacks, it would probably be ridiculously good. But it's just
yeah,
it's a little bit
throwing
of
out crystal spikes every turn.
It's if you go with Rejuvenate, it's kind of encouraging you to build it against what its naturally high base stacks and its naturally good techniques. So that's why the Puppet Master is better. But I mean, the idea of Rejuvenate, the potential of it's interesting, and we'll see. You know, as the level cap gets increased more, maybe there'll be some potential there. But right now, like you said, it's clear why that Puppet Master. It's Puppet Master, but it's such a fascinating, unique trait. You know, I don't know. Is there anything in Pokemon like that forces one Temtem to hit another one or taunts? I mean, I don't.
Off of the top of my head, there is not. Pokemon really isn't balanced around 2v2s.
Right.
Most of Pokemon's design is in 1v1 matchups. There are a few support Pokemon that have abilities that specifically affect their allies, and I'm thinking of some of the fairies, but I can't remember what their names are with the fairies.
Just the fact they don't come to mind, it's not quite as prevalent. So it's just another tip, I think, for why we both love Temtem and we see so much potential in Temtem is that it has something like this where it's balanced around there being 4 Temtem on the field, and all of the interactions that start building and counterplaying off of that is really fascinating. Mix is a great example about that, besides just being really cool.
Just discussing where Mix fits onto like your team and how you can use it. I mentioned one of the coolest aspects about Mix is that it is such a powerful special attacker. Deals so much damage with its special attack and being able to crystal spikes every turn behind like another tanky Tim because of its Puppet Master. Another really cool use for Mix is it has access to a move called Hallucination. Hallucination puts out 2 statuses on a Tim as far as it traps a Tim and it traps and it exhausts them. Something that's very popular amongst players is they like doing things like extinction comps, and extinction is putting doom onto Temtems. Mix is one of the cool Temtems that you can throw out onto the field. When one of your Temtems gets doom on it, you can use hallucinate, and because a Temtem can only have 2 statuses at a time, the Mix will put exhaust and trap on your own Temtem with the hallucination move. Because it has those two statuses, it removes the doom, saving them from dying. Mix has a couple really cool things it can do with supporting, just because you don't have to kind of worry about its defensive stats because of Puppet Master. So running things like hallucination and energy manipulation can let it come out to the field. As long as you have a little bit of speed investment in it, it can move pretty quick and hopefully throw off your opponent's strategy. And finally, I think the last thing I'll mention as far as like just throwing knowledge, and then we can like talk about Mix a little bit more if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish
is
up.
the breeding moves. Techniques you can breed onto Mix is Psy Surge and Humiliating Slap. Mix doesn't need either of these. Generally, if you are attacking on if you're attacking on the field, you want to be able to crystal spikes every turn. And if you pick up Psy Surge is great for dealing with melee Temtem like Psypat. I had to not say Psypark. Mix will be able to handle those in like one turn. But energy manipulation is also really good as taking that spot of, having a mental attacking move, just because it's able to exhaust and it's able to synergize with nature Temtems.
Yeah,
Humiliating.
Go ahead. Pause on that. Explain. Just let people know what the synergy is with energy manipulation, maybe.
Yeah.
If there's a nature Temtem on the field with it.
Yeah, so partnering Mix with either other mental Tims or nature Tims. One of Mix's best partners is Kinu, because it is both mental and nature. Mix has access to two moves, energy manipulation and hallucination. Energy manipulation synergizes with nature Tims. Energy manipulation is a move with 3 priority, so it moves really fast. It does 45 damage, and it only costs 11 stamina. And it's a special move. When you energy manipulate a target, it exhausts them for 1 turn, making them use additional stamina, potentially causing them to overexert. When partnered with a nature Tim, it does increased damage and it exhausts for 2 turns. One of the really cool things about this is if you can get Mix's speed up, it's not a very fast Tim by nature, but putting TVs into speed, it's going to allow your Mix to come out and use energy manipulation because of its 3 priority. It's likely going to move before other Tims and exhaust them and make them use more stamina for whatever they were planning to use for that turn.
The energy manipulation, that second turn of exhaustion, I think is really easy to underrate how big of an impact that has, because you use energy manipulation first, you have that high priority, so hopefully you get it off before the enemy Temtem uses their move. They're going to cast double their stamina, and they're going to put their stamina so low that with another turn of exhaustion, it's pretty hard, I think, in most cases to not overexert if they cast a move again. With 2 turns in a row of exhaustion, I mean, it means that Temtem either has to switch out to avoid exhaustion or face the fact that it's going to be exhausted and damage itself and not be able to do anything. And that's just such a powerful place to put someone into. And even taking a step back out of the competitive PvP battling, I found energy manipulation to be actually really useful in the PvE in the story, because I picked Tent Tal as my starter, or Hoochie, the unevolved version is Hoochie, but it's Tent Tal now. And some of those dojo battles where they just like decimate your team if you're not ready for them, like they might just kill your Temtem over and over and you're having trouble to do damage. But if you can just cast energy manipulation on them, eventually those dojos Temtem are going to run out of stamina and start hurting themselves. And so, like, I swear, I beat at least 1 or 2 dojos by using exhaustion and just letting them kill themselves. So
I don't know if you're a World of Warcraft fan, but it's making me think of the Wrath of the Lich King trailer where the king walks up to Arthas and he's just like, the end of Wrath of the Lich King. It's like, no king's reign lasts forever.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what energy manipulation does with exhaust. Of like, you can kill me, but by golly, you'll be exhausted and you won't be able to kill my next Tim.
Well, that's exactly what it does. Yeah, no, it's great.
The final move you can breed on the Mix is called Humiliating Slap. This is important if you decide to run a Rejuvenate Mix, because since Rejuvenate Mix has to use physical moves to attack, Humiliating Slap is a physical move that does 90 damage. It's a neutral type. It has no hold, and it lowers the defense of the physical defense of the Tim you're fighting. So Mix already doesn't deal a lot of physical damage. So having Humiliating Slap, using it as a Rejuvenate Mix, you're going to be able to increase the amount of damage Mix is doing because you're lowering the defense of the enemy Tim, and you're going to be able to heal yourself because it is a physical move. Both of which, Psy-Surge and Humiliating Slap, are not necessary on Mix, as its main move is going to be Crystal Spikes. And basically you just throw it out on the field and Crystal Spikes until you run out of stamina. Those are all good options. I've messaged Andrew, throughout the week earlier. I have so many thoughts on what the Down Below is inside of like the Airborne Archipelago. And I love that Mix, has lore that plays in of like evil messengers of the Down Below. But anytime you see a Mix on your enemy's team, you don't have to instantly like ban it or so, but you do have to be afraid of it because any Mix is just going to bring a lot of damage. It's going to bring a lot of support, and it's likely going to be able to support through making your life hard.
Well, I think we talked about last week how the burn condition has got potential but not really used a lot, and maybe I'd personally like to see something where you take advantage of that rejuvenation and have a physical Mix that maybe you're planning on being able to survive hits by like burning and reducing the enemy's damage, and that allows you to survive long enough to heal. So, a combination, I could see like a Humiliating Slap to lower the defense, and then a Fire Temtem burning them to lower their attack at the same time, and just trying to, weaken the opponent so much. I mean, maybe there'll be some future potential there. Who knows?
Mix pairs really well with Fire Tems too, as far as lowering the attack of enemy Tims is lowering attack. I don't think there's anything you can do in game to lower somebody's special attack, but you can lower their physical attack. And the two moves that do that are Roar and King's Roar. I believe only Fire Tims have access to those right now. Throwing, Mix out with Fire Tims, if you're running like a Rejuvenate Mix, Roars can lower the attack and just give your Mix like a little bit more breathing space.
To clarify that, there's no specific moves that physically lower the stage of special attack is what you're saying right now, right?
Yeah.
Because the burnt condition decrease the special attack while they're burned. It's not gonna decrease it by a stage like some moves, but burn does reduce both physical and special attack by 30%. But
I could be a dirty liar on that, but I don't think I am.
Nothing comes to my mind, but who knows? Maybe let us know if we're missing something on there. So
Tim of the week, Mix. If you like it, let us know you like it. If you have a Luma version of it, definitely please screenshot it and message me on Discord or post it on Reddit.
I don't know if I've seen one in game. I think I've just seen the pictures online. I'd love to see it. I mean, for those that don't know, the Luma version, all the red crystals are like a tealish greenish blue color, and the robes it's wearing become more dark, and its eyes go to like this yellow glow, and it's just like I said, it looks like a sorcerer. There's no other way to describe Mix. So.
Luma Mix is one of the hardest Lumas to get in game, just because. Really? Well, yeah, because you have to get a Luma Chlora that, and when you get a Luma Chlora, it's most of the time so high level that you can't evolve it into Mix because the only place to catch it is, So you have to get a Luma Chlora, and then you have to breed a level 1 Chlora and pray that, it's if it has 2 Luma parents, it has, the 1 in 80 chance.
Eventually people just have to wait long enough for the level cap. But yeah, you're right. Right now, Luma Mix is super rare for the time being, and temporarily, anyways, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you have one, flex on them.
Yeah,
flex on
us.
Anything I miss, people can definitely let me know. So I was looking, and opening the Tempedia is actually how you see the animations in game. So all you have to do is press escape, open your Tempedia, and then scroll to the Temtem you want. Click the Temtem and then click it again, and you'll see the close-up, and then you can press X and cycle through its animations. But yeah, Mix does that cute little animation with its little chuckling eyes whenever it's randomly idle. But if you want to, see it do it, you have to go into your Tempedia and you can look at the animation.
Right, sure. No, that's cool. That's cool. You can look up. That's something new I learned, is that you can look up any of the Temtem animations by going into the Tempedia. So that's good to know. Move along now, talking about what have we been up to this week? What have you done this week in MTime? What have I been doing this week? I'll just go off. You mentioned how it's funny that you mentioned, you said you're looking at buying a Nidrasil. I actually finished breeding Yggdrasil this week. I spent this week collecting the Temtem I need for the egg moves and leveling them up so they could have all the egg moves. And I got very lucky in my breeding. I'm very happy to report that I only got gender locked a single time, and it was like at a low tier. So when I bred my 5 out of 5s, I got the male and female. So you got to appreciate not having to redo that stage, you know?
Yeah, that is fantastic. I'm super lucky too. I hope you make a bunch of money off of it.
I was gonna say, what kind of trait were you looking on yours?
Try apothecary. Like I want try apothecary because
Well, we should talk.
Like
I have one Yggdrasil left in an egg with apothecary, all the egg moves, and perfect stats. So let's talk after the show. Maybe I can hook you up and
oh yeah, definitely
for you.
Yeah. That's gonna make my life easier. I may or may not have the 10,000 Pansun to pay you next month. We'll see.
Why did you want to? I'm curious. I'll say why I want it before I do. Are you looking to get one for competitive battling or for capturing Thames?
I have one already for capturing Tims, but it just has like 2 perfect stats rather than 7. I want it for competitive battling. I recently have gotten on the Kinu hype train with Protector.
Sure.
And Yggdrasil has just a really nice typing. It's really hard to deal with, especially if it gets super beefy. And it does great damage, and then it has the option of dealing percentage damage with its Tri Apothecary. So it can eat through physical and special walls. It can eat through most sweepers. It can handle a hit from most sweepers. And just if you're able to give it like a couple stone walls or protector buffs from Kinu, it just becomes a monster that dominates the field. A lot of people are running water Tims to handle all of the fire Tims that are being ran to handle the amazing crystal Tims in the game. So that's just kind of like a response to like the shifting meta of Ukama is probably the biggest monster right now inside of the competitive battling scene because you run Ukamas to handle all of the fire Tims that are threatening your Gyalis. And Yggdrasil's typing just eats water Tims for breakfast.
Yeah, my reason's a little less competitive or a little less hardcore for Yggdrasil. I bred mine mainly for the Yggdrasil Saku that you alluded to earlier, which we'll talk about in the next segment a little bit. But I haven't really farmed the keynote for my free releases yet. And I was like, I don't want to do it till I have the best possible min-max way to do it. So I know you can do it without a perfect bred Yggdrasil, but I'm only doing one with perfect stats. So I finally have that capability turned on. Plus, like I've mentioned before, I think Yggdrasil is just such a cool Temtem, this giant 3-headed snake / Hydra. And by the way, I didn't realize how big Yggdrasil is, like following you around in the world. Like I've seen them from other tamers, but I really just didn't get a good feel for it until I had Yggdrasil following me. I think it's my favorite Temtem to have out, like following me around in the world because it just looks so cool.
Yeah, agreed. I mostly run with it around in my first slot.
I was just going to say, if you're not like using the specific Temtem, who do you put in your first slot show off? Are you using your Yggdrasil, your Mix, or your Luma Genki out?
Most of the time, it is either Yggdrasil or sometimes I pull out the Genki, but it's either Yggdrasil or it's a Wimplump. I most of the time keep my party like near empty of Tims. And just I keep 2 Wimplumps with me for if I go, cold breeze farming. And I keep Saku and Yggdrasil with me if I go C-Note farming.
Sure. No, yeah, I like I always try to have a cool Contem in my first slot just to be showing off, and I'm also like
I need to start like bringing more show off Tims because I've got like a Luma Mushi just waiting to flex on people.
I know, I'm so jealous with all your Lumas. I need
two.
to get one
I have
eventually.
2.
That's 1,000, an infinite amount of percentage more than my 0.
Fair.
But I have only myself to blame. I haven't really tried farming for one yet. Soon. I mean, the way I look at it, talking about like what we've been doing in this week, I've mentioned I'm not making. There's so much to do and prepare for that. I really see Luma hunting as like the end game time sink when you have nothing else left to do. Like there's still Temtem I want to breed. I have to TV train, level up, do my free Temtem releases for the week. Like to turn through all of that content and then still have free time is not something that happens to me to go hunting for a Luma. But eventually, once I have all the Temtem teams I want, then I might, go hardcore farm after a Luma. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there myself. What have you been doing this week in the game?
For me, I spent all last week I spent all last week breeding up my new competitive team after I realized like how much effort some people put into this game and like the amount of respect for, the people playing at the
I
top
was
level.
surprised that you were like, I'm doing competitive battles with only like 2 or 3 perfect Temtems. I'm like, man, that's got to be an uphill battle.
It really was, but I can happily report now that I have a whole team. My first night of sitting down and playing, I actually won 3 games in a row.
Oh, congratulations. You got your full team. Now, and is that why you're broke? Did you just buy a bunch of perfect Temtem and get them all, or did you do more breeding to get there?
Yeah, I actually was. I was specifically targeting people who are selling eggs with random traits, and
Taking the
it's just
gamble.
like, yeah, it's like, give me the gamble. I'll get what I get. I bought a Volarin with a random trait and an egg. If you like follow the games, like aerobic Volarin is and I always say this with quotation marks. There's a good trait and there's a bad trait.
Right.
It's just whatever strategy you want to run. But aerobic is the good trait,
That's the sweeper one, right?
Yeah, it gains speed every time it uses a move and loses special defense. But anaerobic is getting like a lot of really cool plays and finding its own place.
Volarin's unique in that you're right. One is quote unquote better, but the other trait makes it
both
tankier.
really
Yeah,
good.
people played as a tankier wall defensive. So Volarin was the first one I bred, and the one I leveled up in TV trained has. I mean, the names are so similar. It has the aerobic, the one that increases its damage.
Aerobic.
That's what I'm using, but I have a level 1 of the other trait, just so at some point in the future I'll have that in my collection when I want to use, Volarin with that trait.
I bought an egg from somebody who was selling it for like 25K, and I was like, let's go. Either I win or I win, because they're both really good.
That's a good one to go for the random. I'm curious. So how much money did you have before you start spending it all? What did you get? Like, what's the highest you got your bank up to?
I just farm in the background. I think the highest I got was like 52,000 Pansun, but I have a Pansun
really? Oh man, addiction. You are broke.
Yeah, I'm at 43,000 right now, and I have been watching the Temtem marketplace. And like, I dare somebody to post an egg.
I had to stop. I decided to stop spending money because I was getting too low, and I'm down to 160,000 Pansun. I was like, oh, I better stop, and that's triple. Or even I was at 300,000 before.
The other thing too was I started with only pants in game because like
that's right, you had to buy your clothes. That's right.
I had to buy all the clothes, and clothes are like
you dug your own hole there. That's your own fault.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got my avatar looking like how I want it, so I'm pretty happy now.
Speaking of looking at avatars, the dye. I got a question. I got the dye pack from the Temtem release a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I just want to see what this color looks like on my shirt, so I used it. But then, are dyes one-time use?
Yes, dyes are only one-time use.
I thought you collected them permanently in your collection and could switch outfits to it. So now I'm like, I have this different color shirt that I don't want, and I can't switch back to the shirt I had without spending money now. So I was very frustrated by that.
Yeah, dyes are one-time use, and then once you dye an item, it keeps it. So if you trade it to another player, it keeps that dyed color.
Yeah, so I gotta get some dyes to change my colors back around, but I did it once, and I was about to try some more, and like I'm glad I didn't, because it was like this ugly orange color, and like I'm glad I didn't make my pants that color and stuck with that. So no, speaking of having money, I got up to like 300,000 pounds, which I know by all means there's people with way more than that and make money a lot quicker than that, but I was happy with that, and I was able to make that money. Because a couple of weeks ago, when like the game was at its top level of hype, before there was a little bit of a lull waiting for this patch, there was so much trading going on that I was able to just breed perfect Temtems and sell the excesses and make like 100,000 profit on some of the breeding projects. But since things have slowed down, I don't know if I'm trying to sell. I still have perfect Anaheres. I'm still trying to sell. I haven't been able to sell very many this week, and I'm working on these Nidra cells as well. So I don't know. I'm curious if it's just those aren't super popular Temtem, and that's why I'm not selling them. Or if people have made all of their purchases and gotten the Temtem they need, so there's not as much demand, or if just the player activity is a little bit down here as people wait for the spring patch. I don't know, have you seen any of this or any thoughts on that situation?
I actually talked to somebody about this. It's something that I think is like really important to mention is there's natural surplus to Temtem. Anytime you breed a perfect Temtem, you are going to be able to breed 20 more of that perfect Temtem. Well, I don't remember what the exact number is.
Not 20, like, but a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, like 12 to 18 or something like that. Or 7 to 18. I don't.
There's no way you
'Cause-
can breed 18 of one successful one, or what do you mean exactly? I mean,
So
if you get one
you-
perfect, you can get 6 or 7. I'm aware of, but how do you push the number up
Yeah,
higher?
if you breed one perfect, it has like 3. You have or you have like one Tim with 3 perfect.
You'll have 2 5s and
3,
one with perfect, and they all have 3 or 4 fertility. Yep.
Yeah, they all have 3 fertility. So when you get to the stage above that, you can keep breeding those together and get the random ones, and then you're going to get, you'll get one Tim with 3 fertility with perfect stats, one Tim with 2 fertility with perfect stats, one Tim with 1 fertility and perfect stats, and then another Tim with 0 fertility and perfect stats. Then you can take and breed the level of that again to get 2 more 5s and go down that line. Or if you want, you can take the one with 3 fertility and breed, and then you'll have another Tim with perfect stats and 1 fertility. Then you can breed that with the one that has 1 fertility, and you have another Tim with perfect stats and like 0 fertility.
This is good in theory.
Yeah, and it's
the
just
problem I found
exhausting
is you
that.
can get gender locked, because
Yeah.
I've with my Nidrasils or my Orphils, I got there and I kept getting male hatched eggs, and you need to keep getting a balance of females to keep going. So I actually ended up with like a perfect 7 out of 7 SV Orphil that was male, that I couldn't use all of its fertility because I ran out of females to keep breeding, which is frustrating.
Exactly.
But I mean, of course, I can eventually breed this with a different species that's toxic or nature, or try to sell it for a little bit more.
Yeah. So generally, when you breed a perfect Tim, you're going to get the ability to make more perfect Tim than you need. So what's naturally going to happen is there's going to be more people out there selling them. Then until we see the prices account for that and adjust, I think it's just going to be a little bit like harder to sell, just because there's naturally more people selling.
I think just over time you'll make less and less off breeding. You can make the most off of it right now. It will probably be able to make for a while.
Yeah, and I think the prices will definitely go up. They'll definitely go up and down. Right now, for the people who are making money, I think the thing to do is invest in fertility rather than, breeding perfect Tim and selling them. Of just making sure you have a good stockpile of like crystal fertility or something.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to look at the economy and take a moment to talk about, which we weren't planning for, but I think it's a good thing to go into and people are interested in it. So I think you're right. I think my speculation on the economy is that when there's big content patches, prices will go up of obviously the old Temp, or any new Temp, they'll be able to make a lot of money when they introduce new species for the first time. So I think when a new patch comes, if you can go quick and start breeding those, obviously would make a lot of money. But I think that'll bring, every time there's a big patch, it'll bring a lot of players into the game or back to the game that will need to keep collecting. And then as we get further away in time from when that big patch release, everyone will kind of have all the perfects they need. It'll drop the demand. It will go down. Where we're at now, where it's a little bit lower and the prices are cheaper. But I bet when a patch comes back, the trading will pick up again, hopefully.
The other thing too that we'll likely see once spectator modes happens, and there's more of an ability for players to hold tournaments and stuff. As new strategies come out and happen, it's significantly cheaper to buy a Tim as far as like your time investment than it is to try and re-TV train a Tim. Of buying everything you need to get rid of all of the TVs on a Tim and then, breed it up and then retrain it with like a new strategy. So I've seen different people that have they bought like 3 different Volerins. So they have Volerin built in 3 different ways, a new Volerin strategy came out, they've just bought another one and raised it up there.
Well, and the economy will change a lot, too, when they release the trading house. That's going to have a huge impact on how transactions and trading is done. But that's not till this winter, so tentatively. Yeah. So we're a ways away from that. But that'll make prices go up or down. Or I don't know if it'll make it up and down, but I think it will just naturally help them find their market value, or supply and demand will be able to meet up. People will be able to exchange what they're offering and buying. And it will really, I think it'll, if anything else, it should make the prices get steady and consistent, I imagine.
Yeah, but back onto what I was doing this week. I had my 3 games won in a row that I was super happy about. I actually fought a few people on their streams that were doing viewer matches, and I just popped in to do a couple matches. and I had one of the most fun wild victories against Game Piece. It came down to the Game Piece. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a YouTuber who makes Temtem content. I highly suggest looking at his channel. He's like really knowledgeable about stuff and just really cool. And he does a lot of streams and just hangs out with people. But it came down to our final Temtem, and I had my aerobic Volarin on the field against, I forget what he was running, but we both used a priority 3 move, and we were both speed up. And my Volarin's hyperkinetic strike like went off first, killed his Temtem, and I overexerted to do it and killed my Volarin.
Oh, no.
And it was like a photo finish of a win. The way Temtem calculates wins isn't if you die to kill another Tim. If you die after that Temtem dies, you win the match.
Nice.
So in any other game,
it would have been still.
Yeah, it would have been a tie, but it was technically a win because my Volarin lasted 5 more seconds.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's good. That sounds fun. I think in general, I'm going to try to, I've been spending a lot of time breeding, but I've got enough perfect Tems now that I'm going to spend the next week, I think, more on TV training and leveling up. I got a lot of level 1 perfect Tems sitting in my bank ready to go. So I can kind of take a break from spending money on the DNA strands and just try to sell my excess and train them up. I think that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm also going to go hard on farming for the free Temtem reward this week. Like you said, it's so good, and I got that perfect Nidrasil and Saku to go for it, and I'm really enjoying farming with that more than I was with the double Wimplump. So it's reinvigorated me to farm and release Temtem.
And I highly suggest too, when you decide to go TV training, that you bring a Kinu with Benefactor in your back pocket. Just as you're out TV training, a lot of the locations are really far away from like
place to heal.
Temporiums. It's really cool to be able to be in the field, throw out the Kinu with Benefactor after like a couple things, heal your Temtem up, revitalize, and then go back to training. And the other thing that really helps about that is as long as you don't use a Temporium or step into a Temporium when you're going to these different places, you can smoke bomb all the way back to the airship, and that'll save you like a good 40 minutes in between, 40 minutes in the whole process. Yeah, instead of like running to each place.
Oh, that's smart. That's a good tip. Anything else you've been up to for this week?
Let's see. Free Tim. I got my reward. I've been battling, really happy with my team. Found a couple of gaps I need to move and buy some new Temtems. I have always, been casting with Temporium GG, and other than that, yeah, that's about it.
I mentioned it. I watched some of your matches this week. I had you hit me up, which I really enjoyed. I did a good job. So yeah, if anyone's not checking that out, they certainly should. And we're going to talk about them a little bit more in our final Meg segment here coming up. But yeah, and it was fun to watch those matches and participate in the community and kind of see what other people are up to and watch the competitive scene for a while. I really enjoyed doing that this week. So for our main topic today, we're just going to talk about a little bit, how to spend time in Temtem right now, what your options are, what we think of it, and speculate about what we kind of think is coming in the future in some of these areas. So, right off the bat, the big thing is, let's just kind of break down what are the ways you can spend your time. There's two main things. I think there's two categories, really. It's either making Pansuns or battling. Just to talk about the different ways of making Pansuns, there's the two ways that I can think of, and you correct me if I'm missing anything, is basically, like we've been talking about, you can breed Temtem and get perfect Temtem and sell off the excess, or you can grind and capture Temtem in the wild and release them. And there's a few different approaches and ways to do this. Is there any other ways to make money besides? You can also restart the game and do playthroughs and get
restarting the game and selling Telemore hacks is pretty
and it's
good way to make money too.
Not even just a Telemore hack. So you get about like 60 to 70,000 worth of Pansuns just from beating trainers in the dojo as well, plus the Telemore hacks, plus selling other items.
Exactly.
So you get a couple 100,000 for that. But is there anything else besides? I think those are the main three ways to make money, right? Probably.
Yeah. Well, Luma hunting too.
Yeah, technically catching Lumas and selling them. It's kind of the same as grinding, I think, and capturing and releasing. I guess it's a little different because you'll just run away over and over. But basically you can make money by capturing Temtem or trying to find Temtem in the wild, either for Lumas or releasing. I linked you a thread on Reddit. I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but about a couple of weeks ago, I think it's the perfect summary of the different ways to do the free Temtem Society. So this was posted by Rain Technoid on the Temtem subreddit, Play Temtem subreddit, about 21 days ago. It's titled Comprehensive Endgame Pansum Guide, Optimal Pansum, Free Temtem Farming, TV Training, PV Preparation, PV Tips and Resources. The main thing I liked about this was just that he broke down the 3 ways to do the free Temtem Society. And I think it's a good summary of the 3 spots people can go to if they don't know about. I mean, we can go back and forth just mentioning what these first ones are. So I'll go. The first one that he detailed is farming Magnuses, and this is outside of the volcano. I think this is a really popular spot. It was the main spot I think people used for a while. You use 2 Wimplumps to do this, or wild plumps, and you use basically cold breeze on both of them to put the cold status effect and then freeze them and then try to capture them when they're frozen. And with all of these methods, you want to make sure you're using the 4-leaf clover that increases your catch rate. And according to his post here, which is probably accurate, he says you can get about 5.5 to 7K pansums an hour, which I think I've probably seen the same, because you get anywhere from 65 to 73 pansums per Magmus and 125, 134 per Macedon, the evolved form. I think the best thing about this spot is that it's very easy to do. It's very easy to get the Temtem for. And it also goes the quickest, I think, per captured Temtem. So if all you care about is getting that number of Temtem for the free Temtem Society major reward, it's something to consider for that, and just quickly getting as many releases as possible, even if it's not the most amount of Pansons for the releases you got.
I used to farm at the Magmus patch, and just, the rate at which you can capture Temtem there, they most of the time only take like 1 Tim card, and
right.
Just how close the Temporium is, so you're not running 2.5 hours
right
back and forth.
It's reliable,
it's
easy
great.
to heal up, easy to restock. It's just easy. It's an easy entry level way to grind releases.
Platypet pond farming. Now, I did read this when he posted this, but I actually never sat and did.
Yeah, I've never done this spot either.
Located inside the mines of Mitlin, run from Wimplumps, and you freeze and capture platypets. The platypets release on average for a little bit higher than the Magmus, and you would just bring 2 Wimplumps with the 4-leaf clover and the decoy, and you cold breeze the platypets, catch them, and you release them. Now, this is estimated at 8K to 9K Pansun per hour.
The thing about these different areas is, while the last one's the most Pansuns per hour, the first one's good for being quick, but the first one's also a good spot if you want to breed Fire Temtem. It's a way to get a lot of males. You'll get plenty with perfect 50 SVs. And this platypet one, like, neither of us have done, but it's worth considering if you want to breed for water Temtems. You can catch a bunch of platypets, get a bunch of releases, get a bunch of Pansums, get a bunch of releases for free Temtem, and get a bunch of water types that you can then breed later. But the last one is by far the most famous and like the quote endgame area where most people farm now, and that's the keynote farming spot. And that's where you're going to be capturing Eukamas and Wimplumps down there. Generally, there's a 5% chance to, and I don't know, how do you pronounce Shinu? How do you even say
I would say Shuine.
Shuine? Yeah, there's Shuines. That sounds right. There's a 5% chance to get Shuines, which people can run from because they're a little bit harder to catch, or you can try to capture them if you want. But and the reason people like the spot is you get 180 to 190 Pansums for each Ukama and 140 to 150 for each Wimplump. So you get over 100 Pansums per release, or almost 150 compared to the other areas that are below 100 for each one. So you can see what people like farming this area is because you get so much for every single release. And you can get about 9 to 12K per hour according to this guide here. But it does take the most preparation in getting Temtem to do this spot. There's 2 approaches to it. In his post, she recommends a Nidrasil and a Saku, which is, like I said, what I just bred for. But people also really like doing this with Nesla and Kinu, right?
Yeah.
But the idea is basically you put a lure on Saku, and that way the lure forces the wild Temtem to always attack Saku, and Saku can be built very tanky, and then can cast Lifeful Sap on itself, which heals 10% every turn. Basically, the Saku will never die, and you never have to go to Temporium to heal. And the only time you ever have to leave the farming spot is when you run out of Temp cards and you have to buy more. And the Nidrasil you use carries the 4-leaf clover, and you cast Spore. And what that does is because if it has the Tri-Apothecary Kate, it's going to put a poison debuff for 3 turns. So that's going to damage these Temtem. And the Spore attack itself is going to do good damage. So the Temtem get very weak very quickly. And they have that status condition that makes them easier to catch as well. And on top of this, Saku also has a move that can put a poison debuff on when you don't need to heal. So you can get poison debuffs on both of them.
The keynote farming, hitting there and doing it, I highly suggest just putting on something on the other screen, watching Netflix, and just grinding away at it. And every time I go and looking, with my free 10 rewards, and I have a couple dozen thousand Pansun sitting there, it's nice. It's nice. Can't recommend it enough.
It's steady. It's a little slow, but it's steady. And yeah, I think anytime you're farming to capture and release Temtem, you're going to want to watch Netflix or some show. People like this build particularly because it's very straightforward. It's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of mental exhaustion to do. You just poison them and throw temp cards till you capture them and heal yourself. So, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad kind. Just the wider part of this topic about how to spend time in Temtem right now, a lot of it is just grinding and releasing Temtem. And let's be honest, it can get a little boring and tedious sometimes to do that, can't it?
Yes, it can. Breeding and selling and investing in fertility, so that when prices go up, you can sell fertile Temtem to breeders. All of that requires you to have more of a knowledge of the greater whole of Temtem, as far as what Tims are popular, why they're popular, and why people are getting them.
Basically, just so there's making money is one thing to do, but the other part of it is you can battle other players. While it gets a little boring grinding money, some people like collecting money. But if you want to have some more fun, you can battle other players. The problem is there's not a ranked queue to do that right now, so it's not easy. You can't just find players in the game, so you have to kind of rely on the community and go outside of it. So why don't you tell people about probably the best way to do it?
I've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast before. There is a Temtem community I am a part of called Temporium, which you can just go to temporium.gg, and I'm pretty sure their website will come up, or you can just Google search Temporium.gg. They right now are running the Temtem competitive scene. They have a whole matchmaking bot that handles the ladder, and there's hundreds and hundreds of players on the Discord, and people are always in the queue, and it's really, really easy to do. You just join Discord, and you type !MM, and then it will pair you against another player, and then you send them an invite in game and fight. One of the really cool things about this is it actually keeps up with MMR, so you can actually have a reason to, you actually have a reason to climb and fight on the ladder and build a team that works.
And just very simply and straightforward. What's the exact step someone would take to start doing this? I mean, myself included, I need to know this because I'm almost ready with my perfect team. I'm going to start doing this in another week or two. So please educate me and everyone else. And what exactly do you have to do to start using this?
Okay, so if you go to temporium.gg, that is the website for Temporium, and then you click Temtem Masters, and it will take you to the Discord. Once you are in the Discord, the bot is always running. It's a Discord bot. It's always running on the channel, or always running on the Discord. And if you scroll down on the right-hand side of Discord, you'll see a category called Temtem Masters, and then you'll see one that says Matchmaking. Inside of Matchmaking, if you just type !MM, the bot will automatically generate a profile for you. It will automatically queue you again, put you into the queue. And as soon as it matches your MMR against somebody within range of you, it will generate a lobby inside of the Discord, and it will send you a message and say, hey, here's where your game is. Here's your opponent. You join in, you tell your opponent, good luck. Here's my in-game name. A lot of the times, either you or your opponent will send the challenge, and then you can fight a competitive match inside of the game. And once you win or lose, you go back to the lobby that the bot made for you, and you type who won it, and the bot will ask the other person to confirm. Once they confirm, your MMR with the bot will either go up or down. And then the other really cool thing about Temtem Mass is there's a whole team behind Temporium, and there is a whole financial team of people who are grinding PanSun with, with Free Tim Society, but they're also playing the market as far as investing in Tim to breed and Tim to sell, Tim that they're auctioning off to players. And the financial team between all of them have about 2 million PanSun. And so what the bot does is based on how you win or lose matches and the MMR difference, it awards you PanSun for winning. And then every Sunday, the financial team logs on to all of their characters. And if you message them, they'll look up how much PanSun you won throughout the week according to the bot, and then they'll send it to you in game.
I think that's incredibly. It's so cool just to stop and say that they just designed this whole system just to find other players would have been a neat enough thing in itself, and would have been worth mentioning and embracing. I think just the fact that Temtem is this early access game where the developers have given us a foundation, but it's an incomplete foundation. They're still building it. And already the players in the community are coming to find ways to take that foundation and build on top of it and have a community. I think is really cool. But not only did they design these tools and this ladder system, but then the fact that there are also people donating their time to grind PanSuns and incentivize players and reward them for nothing really in return, right? Is really, really awesome. And I can't thank them enough for what they're doing for the Temtem community right now, especially while we're all waiting for the game's own ranked matchmaking queues. So I just got to give some major kudos to everyone behind us, including yourself for supporting it as a caster.
Hooking up with the Temporium team, like I shoutcast tournaments for them and just kind of give my commentary as like the match is happening. And it's something I've always wanted to do is like cast for esports and stuff. And I messaged them. And I was like, all right, I need to have like some sort of application or something in order to, be a part of this team, or like, why would they want me? And the process came down to basically, can you talk fluently enough to communicate to other people? And do you love this game? And everybody like inside of Temporium loves this game. Like no matter who gets on the team, that's like one of the things like they screen for is like, do you love this game?
Yeah, their passion's clear with the system and the time, and they're obviously very excited about it. And I mean, as someone who makes a podcast about it, I can relate to that, and definitely it resonates with me. So it's awesome to see someone else doing something like that. I'm really looking forward to, I think it might be 1 or 2 more weeks before I'm ready, at least 1 more week. But I'll start giving it a try, and we can have some great discussion on as a first impression coming from the outside and participating, how the experience went for me. So
yeah, if you ever want to practice too, we can go against each other's.
That's
team.
True. I should maybe do a warm up match for you and I'll try to be real min maxing and keep my record clean by getting all my learning curve out of the way.
That's the other cool thing with the bot. As you gain MMR, you can spend your MMR and you can spend your PanSun. You also gain like prestige, like with the bot. And rather than redeeming the PanSun in game, instead you can say, well, I don't want this PanSun, and instead give me this feature. One of the things the bot has as a feature is it will wipe your record for you of just delete all of my wins and losses. I'll spend all of this, and
that's cool. So they've really gamified the system for us gamers playing it. So that's neat. I like that. You know what they should do? They should a step further in evolution. Be so cool, interesting is if you could spend that currency that you're talking about on like badges that you display like as either special emotes or on your profile.
Oh, that would be cool.
Right? Wouldn't that be cool? Kind of, or like if you defeat so many X players or certain types of players, you can collect certain badges or achievements. I mean, I could see them really growing this a lot. Because I mean, eventually there'll be the rank match making queue in game, and it'll take a little bit of their thunder. But the fact is they can branch out and do more evolutions of things like this. So I think it's a great foundation, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future with it. I can't speak for them. I can only imagine that, hopefully they're going to try to iterate, keep evolving what they're doing.
Have you ever full TV trained a team?
Not, I don't have like a full 8, because you have 8 Temtem in your competitive box, right?
Yeah.
I think I've got 4 or 5 TV trained. So that's why I'm
trying to... That's good.
That's what I said I need that week for, is I want 8 Temtem TV trained and ideally perfect SV bred, although a secret I'm kind of whispering here. I might do your strategy of like I might just buy a Galalis that isn't perfect just to like soak up the bans, just to like, kind of get an early start, hoping that they'll just ban it and not even bother buying a perfect one. So we'll see, or maybe I'll get an actual perfect one. We'll see.
Yeah, I had a match this past week that I played, and the guy left my Galalis open for like one of the first times, and I didn't pick it. And he was like, "Oof, I was really scared you're gonna pick Gyalis there." I was like, "Shh, don't ask any questions."
A throwback to our earlier, you talked about you thought people were over respecting the Goliath spans, and then you saw how good it was. When I watched those matches that you were casting, and I saw someone just get a Goliath on the field and just sweep and destroy everyone, I was like, "Yep, that's a good Temtem." I think it's interesting. In my roadmap episode, I talked about how they're not trying to do this really they're not trying to balance the meta perfectly right now with every little adjustment. They want to get really powerful things, underpowered things balanced, so the game's not unplayable, but they want to focus on getting all the Temtem and content out there and then balancing more. I wonder if they were balancing more, if you think Goliath would get nerfed right now. I personally think they probably would, right? I don't know. What's your take on that?
If it would get nerfed, I would say Gyalis would not get nerfed just because.
If not Goliath, who? I mean, someone's got to be deserving of a nerf at the top of the meta.
The reason why Gyalis is an incredibly strong Temtem, the reason why I don't think it's to the point where, it deserves like a nerf or a ban, there's really no good way to build Gyalis where it has a good turn one play. Because it needs Heat Up, it needs Hidouchi, it needs Crystal Stabs, Crystal Stab, and then Crystal Bite. All of those moves.
So not Goliath. Who do you think, if anyone, or do you think that it's actually no one needs to be nerfed at all right now?
If anyone needs to be nerfed, I just, I feel like the meta scene of Temtem is doing such, like the competitive players and all of like the people playing this at like a high level are doing such a great job of responding to each other's strategies, coming up with such good plays against them. Like this week, I saw a Bubawa inside of a match like dominate a player.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I like those curveballs. I like those untraditional plays and metas in general.
Yeah, I said last week on the episode, like there's like 25 super viable Tem right now. I would like to say right now, I was probably wholly wrong on that. Like I don't know what the number is because I haven't sat down and counted, but I'm feeling like the number is more like 40 or 45, maybe closer to 50.
Certainly different degrees of viability, but I would say most of them are playable in some role. If you're clever with your team comp and your strategy and your line, you can figure out, you can make a Temtem work. Maybe you won't have the highest possible win rate, but you can be probably successful enough if you really want to get creative, right? Which that's good to hear. I mean, it's happy to hear that. So yeah, go check out Temporia. If you're the competitive PvP player and you want to get into that, go do that. But maybe you're not that player. And I'd like to hope that hopefully we have some listeners that aren't all about competitive battle and they want to know what they can do besides making Pansuns. And I do have a few other things. Completing the Tempedia is obviously something you should do right now, or complete the Tempedia as much as you can. Have you done this yet? I actually haven't. I have a couple more left to do. Have you done yours?
I have not. Who am I missing? I think I'm missing the Evolve 4 version of Platypet.
That's funny. So am I. Because basically, I think the only way to get it is you have to breed one at level 1 to get enough levels to evolve it twice. So that's one of the ones I need.
As we talk, I'm pulling up the Temtem species list. But what were you gonna say?
No, I don't. I actually don't have a Goliath yet, a Gallus, because I haven't bred one, obviously, or bought one, and since they're a rare spawn, I didn't catch one like playing through the story. So I still need to pick up one of those as well, and one or two other ones. Can't get all of the starters right now, but I still need to evolve a crystal into a Sheldoll or whatever, just to get that one as well.
I need to evolve that. I also need to evolve a Hochick. I have a Hochick in my box, but I just haven't evolved it to Tenzel.
I should try to get someone to trade me the starters I don't have so I can get them in my Tempedia. That's a good point. Someone that's restarting or something. Is that how I suppose people are just breeding them. How did you get yours?
I actually got mine from a low almost scam. I was trying to get Humiliating Slap for my mix. And I saw somebody was selling them with fertility. It was a breed jack. And I was like, oh, cool. I can just train that up, breed the stat onto like whatever mix I need. And then also it will learn Humiliating Slap. Then like I was really looking at it. And like then I I was like, I actually don't need this. I can get it through a cheaper method. But I'd already sent the guy a message that I wanted it. And he responded with a price that was like way, way too much. And I was like, oof, I was looking to pay like a third of that. And he responds to me like 40 minutes later where he was like, when he's just like, you know what? I'll cut your price in half. I really just want to get rid of this. I was like, but I don't want this Tim. And he's like, but I just need Pansun. I was like, cool.
Oh,
So I
that's
got
awesome.
a Ho chick with like a little bit of fertility, and it had like 3 perfect SVs for like 2K Pansun.
That's
So
not bad. Yeah, no, I need to get the other starters. And the melee fighting one as well. I can't think of its name, but you can't capture that
oh,
in the wild.
Smazzy.
Yeah, I need to get a Smazzy and evolve that too. So outside of the Tempedia, which you can work on, will take some time. You can complete as many of the side quests as possible. Frustrating enough, you're not going to be able to necessarily see all of the ones you have, but complete all the ones you have on screen until you can't, and then just try to complete the others as well. So you can get all your quests done out of the way. You can make sure you collect all the technical courses that are available in the game. There's some hidden ones on the map and various quests and locations to go. So, I'd recommend Googling what's available and then go and compare the list and see if you're missing any. Same thing with the gear items that your Temtem can use. Google, see the list of what's all available now, check which ones you have. And if you have any missing, make sure you go get them all. Do this stuff now before the other content patches are out. So you can focus on that stuff. You can focus on catching the new Temtem and breeding them and not having to go back and do any of this other stuff. So I certainly don't shy away from the fact that because it's early access, not all the game features are in. There's not all the stuff to do, but there is a lot of stuff to keep you busy if you want to stay busy in the game, I think, still right now.
yeah, definitely. And when all else fails, try and get a Lumidex or
Well,
Lumipedia.
right. That's the other thing is when if nothing else, you can always hunt Lumas, right? The really hardcore and ambitious players. So
One thing lots of people like doing, collecting every cosmetic item available.
Oh, I didn't even think
is
about that. Yeah.
collecting every cosmetic item for your tamer is a big and very fun task. If you're buying it from the stores, every one of them is going to run you like 20,000 to 40,000 Pansun. If you're buying it from players, it's going to be like 10,000 to 30,000 Pansun.
Have you seen the number? Do you have any idea what that total cost is to get all of them? Or I'm curious if it's like 200,000 Pansun or 300,000 or how many
Oh
items
no,
are
it's
there?
definitely more than that. So let's see.
It's a lot.
There's the shop down there on the other side of the Solaro River. I forget what the name of that shop is, but there's a cosmetic shop. There's the cosmetic shop in Brica del Mar, and there's the cosmetic shop in Aerosol. There's the cosmetic shop in Nanga, and I don't think there's a cosmetic shop in the second city on Omanesia. And then there's a cosmetic shop in Tumka. So there's 5 cosmetic shops. Each one of those have about 7 items inside of it
Ooh,
to buy.
That's expensive.
Yeah, and if you say that each one of those 7 items are, the ones in Tumka are all 40,000, but the ones in Deniz are all 20,000. So I'm just going to average it to like 30,000. So 7 times 5 is 35, and then 35 times 30,000. I don't know that off the top of my head, but that's probably what you'd be looking at to collect all those. And that's not including the dies. There's about 8 dies at each of those
How many
shops.
items did you think it was per? What was it? Give me that math. I'll calculate it out quick.
There's about 35 items to buy in game right now.
Times what price?
About 30,000.
30,000 is just very roughly. Yeah, that's 1 million Pansun's worth of collectible items. But it's like if you got a lot of time, there's not, and it's something to do, right? It's something to sign off.
Yeah.
Well,
and then that's not including buying starting clothes from other players. If you want to get all of the starting clothes,
go real hardcore.
you have to reset your account and either trade it from an alt or buy it from another player.
Well, we know there's achievements coming eventually, so I guarantee there's going to be an achievement about collecting these collectibles, and it'll be pretty hard to get. And they said that there'll probably be achievement rewards, like either titles or special collectible items. So I bet there'll be some rare collectible item that will be really cool. I hope, anyways, that there will be. So the people that have done all this will have like some special hat or glasses or outfit or something to show that they have collections. So I think the more you can do now, there's definitely been an achievement to complete your Tempedia and the quest and all of that. So
I just want Sophia's clothes from the
dojo leader?
first dojo.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks so cool. You can't. Well, at least I haven't found where to buy them in game yet.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they add it into the game. So I think that'll do it for this week for us. If people want more from you, Kennedy, where can they find you online?
You can find me. I will be shoutcasting tournaments. The dates of the tournaments have kind of shifted, so definitely join the Temporium GG channel to find out our Temporium to find out when those tournaments are happening. But there's still a tournament every Saturday. That's their big Temtem Masters tournament. Always between 65 and 128 players entering. And I like doing the opening talk show and the opening games. You can catch me Saturday afternoons there. And then my YouTube channel, I live stream Dungeons and Dragons content where I play in a homebrewed world and do live storytelling with players. You can find that at Ilderon Tales. Google searching it will pull it up. But if you just look for Pres B. Kennedy on YouTube, spelled PRESBKENNEDY, I beat President Kennedy in search results. You can find my channel.
And don't forget to subscribe to this show on YouTube as well under Tem Talk or anywhere you get your podcasts. Leave us that 5-star iTunes review. Help us get some visibility. And please,
listener questions.
Yeah, we would love listener questions. We'd love to answer any of your questions or discussion topics or ideas. So go ahead and send me an email at temtalkshow@gmail.com. Otherwise, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you, everyone. Until next time. I was going to let you say anything goodbye, but that's okay. You good?
I was going to say Tim up. But
Good job.